Welcome everyone to today's Explainer. I'm absolutely thrilled you're here with us. So, today we're taking on a topic that, honestly, usually brings a ton of stress to homeowners. But hey, by the end of our time together, you're going to feel incredibly empowered. We're going to completely demystify the whole process of replacing and protecting your roof in Lancaster and the greater North Texas area. We'll strip away all that confusion and just get right down to the facts.
Can your roof survive the extremes of North Texas? Seriously, it's not just a hypothetical question. I mean, your home is your biggest investment, right? And right now, it is sitting completely vulnerable to some of the most intense, hyperlocal environmental elements in the whole country. We aren't just talking about a little rain here. We're talking about extreme weather that actively tests the limits of your home's main line of defense literally every single year.
Okay, let's dive into this. Here is our roadmap for today. First, Lancaster's unique weather threats. Second, common Texas roofing problems. Third, the real cost breakdown. Fourth, essential Texas roofing standards. And finally, the roof replacement process itself.
All right, let's jump right into Section 1, Lancaster's unique weather threats.
Let's introduce the real antagonist of our explainer, what we like to call the four horsemen of Lancaster weather. First up, you're located right in the heart of Hail Alley. Spring thunderstorms around here routinely drop golf ball-sized hail that can just shred your shingles in a matter of minutes. Then, you've got summer temperatures consistently blowing past 100 degrees. Add to that those severe thunderstorms bringing 60-mile-per-hour straight-line winds. And finally, an often overlooked threat, the clay soil. This soil acts like a sponge, right? It constantly expands with moisture and then contracts during droughts, creating structural movement that actually stresses out your roof's framing and attachments. A generic roof, it simply isn't built to handle this specific, brutal combination of environmental stress.
Moving right along, Section 2, common Texas roofing problems.
So generic materials are designed for moderate climates. If you try to put those on a home in Lancaster, well, they're gonna fail pretty quickly. See, when that clay soil shifts your foundation, the movement transfers straight up to the roof, which loosens the shingles. Then, when those 60-mile-per-hour winds hit, they create an uplift that tears those loose shingles right off, completely exposing your underlayment and basically inviting water inside. You absolutely have to use materials engineered specifically for our intense UV exposure, extreme thermal cycling, and heavy wind uplift.
Now, what's really shocking about all this is the sheer temperature we're dealing with. While it might be a sweltering 100 degrees in your backyard, the actual surface temperature of your roof, that can easily exceed 150 degrees. At that temperature, standard asphalt shingles are literally baking. This intense heat breaks down the shingle adhesives and makes the materials incredibly brittle over time. And eventually they crack, they curl up at the edges, and they shed those absolutely crucial protective granules straight into your gutters.
Which brings us to Section 3, the real cost breakdown. All right, here is the baseline reality. For a typical 2,000 square foot asphalt shingle roof replacement in the Lancaster area, you should realistically expect the cost to run somewhere between $8,000 and $16,000. Now, if you're looking at metal or tile, no way around it, that number can easily push past $20,000. But for standard asphalt, this $8,000 to $16,000 range is exactly what you're looking at.
So, where exactly is all that money going? Well, labor actually makes up the biggest chunk of the pie, usually between 40 to 60% of your total expense. And honestly, there's a very good reason for that. A proper roof replacement in Texas isn't just slapping some new shingles on and calling it a day. It is a highly intensive process. We're talking about a complete physical tear-off of the old materials, navigating some seriously steep pitches safely, and ensuring precise installation techniques that meet strict local codes. After labor, materials make up the next largest portion, followed by your disposal and local permit fees.
But hey, I need to warn you about a very specific hidden cost killer. If you wait too long and water damage compromises the plywood sheathing underneath your shingles, your costs are going to skyrocket. You can expect to pay anywhere from $70 to $90 for every single sheet of plywood installed. This is exactly why catching thermal or hail damage early on is absolutely crucial. A quick inspection right now prevents massive, totally unexpected structural repair bills once the tear-off actually starts.
Now let's look at the solutions in Section 4, Essential Texas Roofing Standards. The absolute gold standard for a Texas roof is the Class 4 impact-resistant shingle. By definition, this is reinforced roofing that passes rigorous UL 2218 testing. And what is that? It literally involves dropping 2-inch solid steel balls directly onto the shingle to simulate severe hail strikes. Yeah, these premium architectural shingles do cost about 20 to 30% more upfront compared to your basic 3-tab shingles. However, they significantly outlast the basic options in the harsh Texas heat, and they often unlock some pretty substantial insurance premium discounts. So, in the long run, they really do pay for themselves.
And this brilliantly illustrates how strict compliance with local Dallas County codes prevents premature failure. For high wind resistance, the code requires an ASTM D3161 Class F rating. In plain English, that translates to a very specific 6-nail pattern per shingle. That is exactly what secures your roof against that 60-mile-per-hour uplift we talked about earlier. Then, take a look at attic ventilation. The code mandates 1 square foot of net-free ventilation area for every 150 square feet of attic space. This stops that insane 150-degree heat from building up and baking your shingles from the inside out. And as a super nice bonus, it actually lowers your summer cooling bills.
Almost done. Let's move to Section 5, the roof replacement process.
When you get down to it, it really breaks down into a logical, low-stress 3-step approach. Step 1 is the initial inspection and estimate, where they're going to check everything from the top shingles all the way down to the decking. Step 2 is material selection. This is where you get to pick your high wind-rated colors and scheduling. And finally, Step 3 is the actual installation and final walkthrough. This is exactly where having a local expert is incredibly valuable. They already know the local Dallas County building codes, they handle all that heavy legwork with the insurance adjusters for you, and get this, they even use magnetic nail rollers during the site cleanup, so your driveway and yard are completely safe after they leave.
So, what should you realistically expect timeline-wise? Well, from the moment you call, an initial assessment typically takes just 30 to 45 minutes. From there, you'll have a detailed, written estimate in your hands within 24 hours. Once you approve it, material delivery generally takes about 3 to 5 days. And the actual installation for a standard residential roof, that's usually just 1 to 2 days. So, as a focused learner, you now know exactly what to expect from that very first phone call all the way to a totally clean, finished job site.
But wait, before you sign anything with anyone, I really want to empower you with these exact red flags straight from the source's FAQ. If a roofer demands full payment up front, run. Honestly, legitimate contractors require deposits, not the whole total cost right out of the gate. If they avoid providing a written contract, or if they operate out of a P.O. box instead of a verifiable local address in Lancaster, those are massive warning signs. And maybe most importantly, if a contractor claims you need a total roof replacement without ever taking the time to inspect your attic for proper ventilation or daylight shining through the decking, they are more than likely being dishonest. Always choose a reputable contractor with a true, proven local presence.
I want to conclude our explainer today with this provocative thought. Your roof might not be leaking today, but what is the real hidden cost of waiting until the next storm? Remember, a 20-year-old asphalt roof in Texas is already highly vulnerable to the extreme heat and the wind, even if you can't see the damage from the ground. Don't wait until water is literally pouring into your living room and rotting your plywood sheathing. Take the knowledge you've gained today, get ahead of the weather, and schedule a professional inspection before the next big hail event strikes. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and hey, stay safe out there.